I think it's safe to say that everyone has hobbies and interests. I am no exception to this. I have many hobbies ranging from each end of the spectrum. My favorite hobby is collecting and shooting weapons. There's just something about getting a new weapon system and taking it to the range. The smell of burned gunpowder and the challenge to be more and more accurate each time I fire. It's just nothing else like it. I'm sure not everyone shares this passion I have for firearms, but I'm also sure that most people can relate to the feeling of when you just get finished doing something that you love and you have to clean up. For example, if you like to paint, you're going to have to wash the brushes, and probably yourself too. Shooting is no exception. Every time you fire your weapon, you should clean it. If you fire a lot, you should prepare for a lot of cleaning. I loved shooting my entire life. From the time I could walk, I was going hunting with my dad. Firearms were just a large part of my life in my younger years. I shot competitively all throughout my teenage years, but it wasn't until I joined the Army that I started to develop a greater weapons cleaning habit. I realized how easy it was for a dirty weapon to malfunction, and even the potential negative effects of running a dirty weapon. I will explain the steps of operator levels weapons maintenance on an AR style weapon platform, what materials you need to do so, and the hotspots of the weapon that require extra attention. So the first step will be gathering everything you need. You'll need a weapon. You'll need some solvent, some lube. You'll need a rag, or in this case, I have a cut up old t-shirt. You'll need a weapons cleaning kit. Alright, so second step, once you have gathered all the materials you'll need, is to clear the weapon. You'll pull the charger handle to the rear, lock the bolt in place with the bolt catch, and physically and visually inspect the chamber to ensure that there is not a round. Once it's clear, let the bolt return forward and you can begin breaking down your weapon. You'll do so by tapping these retaining pins right here that connect the lower and upper receiver together. Once you have broke it down, you will take the bolt carrier group out of the weapon and the charging handle out. You can then begin breaking down the bolt carrier. You'll take out the retaining pin right here. That'll let the firing pin fall out. Rotate the cam, pull it out, then pull out the bolt itself. Once you get the bolt out, you can tap this little pin right here to take the extractor off. So once everything is broken down, you'll take your solvent, put it in a dish, or here I have a cut gallon jug. Then you take all your pieces and place them into the solvent and let them sit while we move to the next step. So after placing things into the solvent, you'll take your chamber brush, get a little solvent on it, and then you can go and clean your chamber. After you've done that, you can move your attention towards the bore. Here I have a bore snake, but if you have the rods, that'll work fine. You'll just thread this down the bore. Until it comes out the bottom. Then you just pull it through. This will help break down any residue or powder that's left in the bore. Once you've ran through it with the brush, you can run through it with the mop. Pick up all the residue that the brush broke up. It's important not to ever run either the brush or the mop back through once you've pulled it through. I can't do it with the snake, but if I had the rods, I would have to unscrew the brush or the mop so that I would not bring any of the dirt back up through the barrel. So once you've done all that, you can move on to cleaning your bolt carrier. So you'll just take your rag, Wipe it all down with a little bit of solvent on it. And then you can start reassembling. Take your bolt, wipe it all off. It should get most, if not all, of the gunk off of it. So once you've cleaned everything off, you can start reassembly. Start by placing the extractor back into the bolt. Place the extractor pin back in its home. Then you can place the bolt back into the bolt carrier. Replace the cam. Rotate it. Replace the firing pin. And then the firing pin retaining pin. Once that is complete, you'll want to get a little lube. Place a little lube to the charging handle, just a couple drops. Place the charging handle back into the upper receiver. Place a couple drops onto the bolt carrier. Doesn't take much. And then you can begin to put everything back in its rightful place. Then connect the upper receiver back to the lower receiver. Once you've done that, you'll want to cycle it through a few times to distribute the lube. Then you can do a functions check. By doing that, you rotate your selector switch from safe to fire. You fire, pull the charging handle back, and this simulates the semi-automatic function. When you release the trigger, you should hear a small click. That means that you put it back together properly, and it should function. So to recap, I showed you the steps of cleaning an AR-15 style weapon. I showed you how to break down the weapon, how to properly clean every component of the weapon. I showed you how to reassemble and do a functions check. So today, weapons are primarily used for recreation, but even though the majority of people are not relying on their weapons for food or for survival, it remains important to maintain your weapons. It ensures that they always function properly and that they have the longest life possible.